The sky above New Geneva was not the real sky. It hadn't been for over a century. A massive dome covered the city, filtering sunlight, controlling temperature, and keeping the poisoned air outside. From the inside, it looked clear and blue, like the skies people once remember from history books. But Captain Alex Voss knew better. He walked through the main boulevard of Dome District 7, his boots echoing softly against the smooth, metal pathway. All around him, people moved through their daily routines. Engineers checking power lines, children playing near the park's artificial trees, merchants shouting discounts on imported goods from Mars and Titan. It all looked normal, peaceful even, but tension was everywhere, just beneath the surface. Alex paused near the memorial fountain at the heart of the district. The water shimmered with the dome's artificial sunlight. A small plaque read, "In memory of Earth's last storm." It was a reminder of the year when climate failure pushed humanity into the domes. Since then, Earth had survived, but just barely. He looked up at the dome's sky again, then at the new screen mounted on a nearby wall. The headline scrolled in bold red text. Galactic Council issues final warning to Earth. Comply or be isolated. The message was clear. The Galactic Council, a union of over 80 advanced species, had lost its patience. Earth's behavior, its independence, its refusal to follow every galactic law, had made them nervous. Now, they were threatening full exile. No trade, no travel, no contact. Alex had been expecting this. As a former military pilot and now Earth's diplomatic envoy, he knew the Council had been watching Earth closely. They saw humans as unpredictable, too emotional, too wild for a peaceful galaxy. And maybe, Alex thought, they weren't entirely wrong. His wrist communicator buzzed. He answered with a tap. "Captain Voss," came the voice of Leon Monroe, head of Earth's Unified Council. "We need you in Geneva Command. Now." Without a word, Alex turned and headed for the nearest transit pod. The glass capsule slid silently along its magnetic rail, rushing beneath the dome towards Central Command. Geneva Command was a sleek tower rising high into the dome's curve. Inside, the Earth Council waited. 12 members, seated around a circular table, watched as Alex entered the room. "Captain," Leah said, standing, "the Council has delivered their final warning. We have 72 hours to respond." Alex nodded slowly. "What are they demanding?" "Full compliance with galactic regulation protocols," said another counselor, "including surrender of advanced weapon systems, restricted space exploration, and Council oversight of Earth's government." In other words, Alex said, they want us on a leash. Leah didn't argue. The vote was close. But the Council agreed. "You're the only one we trust to speak for Earth. You've seen war. You've made peace. You understand what's at stake." Alex stared at the glowing hologram of the Galactic Council seal floating above the table. He remembered his last mission in deep space, when an alien fleet nearly destroyed a human colony. He remembered the hard decisions, the allies lost, the rules broken to survive. The galaxy didn't understand humanity. Not really, but Alex did. "When do I leave?" he asked. "Within the hour. Your diplomatic ship is ready. Destination, Solara Prime." He nodded. "I'll talk to them, but I won't beg. You may not get another chance to speak at all," Liao warned. "You understand that, right? If they vote to exile us, Earth will be cut off. Forever." Alex's voice was calm. "Then I'll make them listen." As he turned to leave, Liao called after him. "Alex, if there's anyone who can make them see the truth, it's you." Outside the tower, the skies inside the dome were beginning to dim. Artificial sunset controlled by a central system. Lights along the walkways flickered on. People carried on with their lives, unaware of how close they stood to the edge of isolation. Alex Voss stepped into the docking platform where his ship, Resolute, waited, sleek, silver, and ready to fly. As the engines powered up, he looked back once at the city under glass. "This planet deserves a voice," he said to himself. The hatch sealed behind him. The diplomatic cruiser, Resolute, lifted off from Earth with a quiet hum. Unlike military ships, it wasn't built for speed or battle. Its smooth design was meant to impress, not threaten. Its interior was clean, simple, and full of screens flashing with star charts, data streams, and alien language translators. Captain Alex Voss stood near the front observation deck, watching Earth shrink behind them. The blue and green planet slowly turned, half in light, half in shadow. The domes were just tiny silver spots now, barely visible from orbit. It looked peaceful from up here, but he knew better. The pilot, an AI named Lyra, spoke over the intercom. Estimated arrival at Solara Prime in 16 hours. Cruising at standard diplomatic speed. Copy that, Alex said, walking back to the main cabin. He dropped into the padded seat at the center of the room. A projection came to life in front of him. Files from the Galactic Council. Names, species, political affiliations, previous votes, diplomatic histories. The council had 87 members from across the galaxy, each with their own view of humanity. Some saw humans as passionate explorers. Others saw them as dangerous creatures who once nearly wiped themselves out. Alex started scanning the file on High Chancellor Virex. The leader of the council for over a century, Virex came from a long-lived species called the Varnari. Cold-blooded, logical, deeply distrustful of emotion. Virex had always voted against Earth in council matters. To him, humans were unpredictable, dangerous, weak because of their feelings. Alex leaned back and rubbed his eyes. So, I'm walking into a room full of people who already think we're a threat, he muttered. He stood and walked to the back room of the cruiser, a quiet space with a small window showing the streaks of stars as the ship entered deep space cruise mode. He remembered the last time he saw those stars this way. 10 years ago, he had flown a squadron through an alien blockade near the Outer Rim. The mission was to protect a mining colony under attack. The enemy didn't want negotiation. They wanted control. That mission cost lives, good ones, but it saved the colony. That was when Earth realized the galaxy wasn't as peaceful as the Council claimed. Now, the battlefield was different. No weapons, no warships, just words and judgment. The cruiser's lights dimmed as it entered quiet mode. Alex lay down on the bunk in his quarters. Sleep didn't come easily, but he forced his eyes shut. He needed rest. Tomorrow, everything would change. He woke to the sound of Lyra's voice. Approaching Solara Prime, preparing for descent. Alex suited up in the dark blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. Simple, clean, with the Earth emblem, a ringed globe surrounded by stars, over his chest. He stared at his reflection in the mirror. Tired eyes, a face hardened by war and politics. No medes, no rangvallis. Just a man carrying the weight of his planet on his shoulders. Let's do this, he whispered. The cruiser broke through the swirling clouds of Solara Prime's atmosphere. The planet was massive, with green oceans, glowing cities, and silver spires that reached toward the sky. It was designed as a symbol of unity, neutral ground for all Galactic Council meetings. As the ship landed on one of the floating docks, hundreds of other ships were visible, vessels from every known world, each with their own shapes, colors, and technology. Alien guards in silver armor waited at the entrance, scanning arrivals for weapons and tracking devices. No one was allowed to bring danger into Council space. Alex stepped onto the platform. A warm breeze swept over him, carrying unfamiliar scents, flowers from other worlds, fuel from alien ships, the faint taste of ozone. It was all too clean, too perfect. A guide drone hovered in front of him. Envoy Alex Voss, you are expected at the Grand Hall of Deliberation. This way, please. He followed the drone through polished corridors and wide walkways, past delegates in flowing robes, armored suits, or even floating in containment pods. Some looked at him with curiosity, others with silent disapproval. A few simply ignored him. At the entrance to the council chamber, two massive doors stood open. Inside, the hall was shaped like a star, each point holding the representatives of a different galactic sector. The center was a raised platform, surrounded by a ring of observation seats. And there, at the far end of the room, sat High Chancellor Virex. Tall, thin, with skin like pale glass and glowing eyes that didn't blink. He didn't stand. He didn't smile. He simply watched. Alex took a breath and stepped forward. Envoy from Earth, announced a drone. Captain Alex Voss. Silence fell across the chamber. The eyes of the galaxy were now on him. The Grand Hall of Deliberation was colder than Alex expected. Not in temperature, but in mood. The wide chamber echoed with silence, every footstep bouncing off walls made of shimmering alloy. Each of the council members sat at their designated place, watching him with curious, guarded, or disapproving eyes. 87 species, 87 judgments. Alex Voss walked with steady steps toward the center platform. His boots clicked softly on the polished floor. His Earth diplomatic badge glinted on his chest. No guards flanked him. No allies walked beside him. He stood alone. The central platform rose slightly as he stepped onto it, placing him level with the surrounding council ring. From this height, every alien ambassador could see him clearly. High Chancellor Virex stood now. His tall, translucent form shimmered under the chamber lights. His glowing eyes studied Alex with no emotion at all. Envoy Voss, Virex said, his voice smooth and cold. Earth has failed to comply with repeated warnings. This is your final opportunity to respond to the Council's expectations. Alex kept his tone respectful but firm. I'm here to listen and to speak on behalf of my planet. Humanity is willing to cooperate, but we won't be controlled. Virex's head tilted slightly, as if analyzing a strange insect. Control is not the issue. Stability is. The Galactic Council exists to preserve peace. Your species disrupts that peace. You are divided, emotional violet. A murmur passed through the chamber. Some nodded in agreement. Others whispered quietly in their own languages. One delegate, a creature with feathered skin and 3 eyes, sighed loudly. Virex continued. Your world ignores interstellar law. You expand without approval. Your technology, though limited, is used without caution. Your history shows cycles of destruction and war. And yet, you demand the same voice as older, wiser civilizations. Alex looked around the room. Our history is rough. That's true. We've made mistakes. But we've learned. We've survived. You have survived barely, Virex replied, and often at the cost of others. The events near the Tau, 5 colony, unjustified aggression, the Skarn mining dispute, Earth violated 5 council protocols. We defended ourselves, Alex said. No one helped us. We faced extinction alone. Another murmur. This time, less hostile. An ambassador from the aquatic world of Zyril raised a long, webbed arm. And what would Earth do if allowed full status in the council? Would you abide by our rules? Or bend them to your will, as you always have? Alex took a breath. We don't want to bend the rules. We want to prove we belong. Humanity wants to contribute, to learn, to help build peace. But not by surrendering who we are. Silence followed. Virex did not move. Then let me be clear. The Council's position is this. Earth must agree to full oversight by the Galactic Security Authority. Your military is to be dismantled. All spacefaring vessels are to be registered and monitored. Trade is to be supervised. Refusal to comply means immediate exile. No communication. No contact. No aid. Total severance. The weight of those words settled over the chamber like a heavy fog. Alex didn't flinch, but his mind raced. Earth couldn't survive isolation. They relied on trade for resources. Without it, life under the domes would break down. People would panic. Governments would collapse. He looked directly at Virex. You're asking us to kneel. I'm offering your world survival, Virex said. This is mercy. Alex's voice grew sharper. This isn't mercy. It's control through fear. At that, a few delegates stiffened. The tension thickened. The delegate from the moon state of Ralph interjected. Enough. The envoy has stated Earth's position. Let the council deliberate. But Virex raised a hand. There will be no delay. Earth has had time. This is not a negotiation. Alex stood straight, hands at his sides. His voice was calm, but edged with steel. Then I will speak once. Listen carefully. Humanity is not perfect. We've made enemies, yes. But we've also made progress. We've rebuilt our world, survived our own mistakes, and reached out to the stars with open hands. If you shut us out now, you don't just exile a planet. You silence the one species that still dares to hope. Several eyes turned toward him. Some were thoughtful. Others remained blank. Virex did not blink. "Your words are heard," Virex said flatly. "But they may not be enough." The lights dimmed slightly. The session was ending. "You have one cycle," Virex announced, referring to the planetary time unit, "about 3 Earth days. Then the final vote will be cast. Prepare your world accordingly." The central platform lowered. Alex stepped off it, heart pounding but face calm. He walked through the heavy doors as they slid open behind him. Outside the chamber, the sky of Solara Prime was still bright. But it felt darker now. He had spoken, but he didn't know if anyone had truly listened. The corridors of Solara Prime's council complex stretched wide and spotless. But Captain Alex Voss felt the weight of invisible walls pressing in from all sides. Diplomacy on this planet wasn't built on trust. It was a game of power, politics, and quiet threats. Every word mattered. Every silence carried meaning. After the council session, Alex returned to the suite prepared for Earth's envoy. It was elegant. Walls made of smooth crystal, lighting adjusted to human preference, and windows with a view of the sprawling gardens below. But it wasn't comforting. It felt like a cage with a good view. He sat by the desk, staring at the message from Earth's unified government. It was short. "Proceed with caution. Do not provoke further aggression. We cannot afford war or exile." They were right. If Earth was cut off, it would crumble within months. Supplies would vanish. Technologies they hadn't fully mastered would stop working. Space travel would be grounded. Earth's people would be alone again. Alex leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. "So I'm expected to win over an ancient council of aliens with nothing but words," he muttered. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. The door slid open. A woman stepped in, tall, with blue-gray skin and narrow, glowing eyes. She wore a long, flowing robe marked with the symbol of the Zyrelian delegation. "I'm Alaris," she said, "from the Zyrelian sector. May I speak freely?" Alex stood. "Of course. Please." Alaris walked in with quiet grace and sat across from him. Her voice was low but firm. "I heard what you said to the council. Few speak so boldly before Virex." "I didn't come here to be silent," Alex replied. She nodded. "I respect that. My people believe the council is growing too rigid. It fears change. It fears species like yours." Alex raised an eyebrow. "So you believe we have a right to be here?" "I believe your world is still growing, still learning. That makes you dangerous, but also valuable." Alex studied her. She wasn't offering open support. Not yet. But she wasn't closing the door either. "What are you suggesting?" he asked. "I suggest you speak with others who think like I do. Not every council member supports Virex. There is still debate. And if enough voices are raised, the outcome could change." Alex nodded slowly. "Then tell me who's listening." Over the next 2 hours, Alaris shared names, delegates who had questioned the council's approach in the past, those who believed in reform or feared Virex's growing authority. Many were from smaller, less powerful systems. Some had even faced council pressure before. Before leaving, Alaris placed a small data crystal on the table. "This contains everything you need to request private meetings. But be careful." Virex's eyes everywhere. As she left, Alex felt a spark of something rare. Possibility. The next day, he moved carefully. He met with a Ralvian scholar delegate in a quiet library beneath the Hall of Archives. The Ralvian, a creature of mist and light, spoke in soft pulses. "We have seen this before," the being said. "Virex tightens the council with each generation. Soon, there will be no voices left but his own." Alex responded with honesty. "I'm not here to break the council. I'm here to stop Earth from being broken by it." The Ralvian nodded. "Then you must speak again, not just to the council, but to the people watching from every system. The council chamber is not the only stage." That night, Alex received an encrypted message from an unknown source. "There are those who believe in Earth's cause, but if you speak too strongly, Virex will silence you. Choose your moment carefully." The next morning, Alex was summoned again, this time not to the council, but to a private chamber within the Chancellor's wing. High Chancellor Virex stood by a window overlooking the starport. "You've been busy," Virex said without turning. "I've been speaking," Alex replied. Call what you wish. But your efforts won't change the vote. Alex stepped closer. Maybe not, but I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to remind the others that fear isn't leadership. Virex turned slowly. His face was unreadable. You may believe you're clever, Captain, but the Council fears chaos, and chaos often wears a human face. I could say the same about control, Alex said. A long pause followed. Then Virex spoke in a colder voice. You have 1 day left. Use it wisely. Alex returned to his suite, tension building inside him. The quiet resistance forming behind him was growing, but so was the danger. If Virex decided to act, there would be no trial, no warning. Just silence. That night, Alex stood on his balcony, looking up at the stars that humans once dreamed of reaching. Now, they might lose them all. He had 1 day, 1 chance, and he wasn't going to waste it. The Grand Hall of Deliberation was full. Every seat around the star-shaped chamber was occupied. Representatives from 87 civilizations sat in silence, their eyes fixed on the central platform. News channels across the galaxy were broadcasting live. The fate of Earth had become more than a local issue. It was now a symbol of something larger. Captain Alex Voss stood at the edge of the platform, hands by his sides, his heart steady. He had spent the night preparing his words, cutting out anything false, anything too polished. The Council didn't need another speech. They needed the truth. High Chancellor Virex sat in his seat, motionless as ever. He gave no sign of hostility or welcome, only stillness. The silence in the hall grew heavy. A deep chime rang. The Council meeting was now in session. Virex spoke first. Envoy Voss of Earth, you have requested to address the Council one final time. The vote will follow. Speak, but speak with purpose. The time for patience is ending. Alex stepped forward onto the platform. It rose slowly until he stood level with the entire Council. He looked around the chamber. He saw a Laris of Zyro watching closely. The Ralvian mist delegates shimmered in support. Others looked cold, unsure, or simply tired of Earth's presence. He began. When I was 10 years old, I saw the ocean for the first time. It was dying. Oil spilled across the waves. Fish floated lifeless near the shore. I asked my mother why we let it happen. She said, we didn't mean to, but we didn't stop it either. He paused. That's Earth's story. We hurt ourselves. We made mistakes. We forgot to look beyond today. But we also rebuilt. We sealed the skies. We survived storms. We built cities under domes. And we looked up again, not with greed, but with hope. He took a breath and raised his voice slightly. You call us emotional. You say we are dangerous. Maybe you're right. We are emotional. But emotion is not weakness. It's the reason we keep trying, even when the odds are against us. It's why we dream of better futures. Some delegates shifted in their seats. A few listened more closely. Alex continued. You want Earth to surrender its control, to submit to constant supervision, to be silenced politely. But we won't kneel. Not because we're defiant, but because we believe in something bigger than fear. He turned to face Virex directly. You say chaos wears a human face. But peace without freedom isn't peace. It's quiet control. We don't want chaos. We want choice. We want the chance to grow, not as your enemy, not as your problem, but as your equal. The room remained silent, but the silence was heavier now, charged. Alex took one final breath. Give us that chance. Not for what we've been, but for what we could be. You're afraid of what we might become. I say, that's the best reason to let us try. He stepped back. The platform lowered. No one spoke for several long seconds. Then voices rose, soft at first, then louder. Delegates whispered to one another, some in their native tongues, others using shared translators. Virex stood slowly. You have spoken, he said. Now the council will decide. Suddenly, movement at the chamber entrance broke the rhythm. A group of delegates from smaller systems entered late, ones who had once remained silent. They requested speaking rights. The chamber granted it. One by one, they gave short remarks. The delegate from the Lantari system said, I once feared Earth, but now I see a mirror. We made mistakes too. Should we be silenced forever for them? Another delegate said, we must not let fear decide for us. As voices joined, Virex's expression did not change, but something in the room had shifted. Control was slipping from his hands, not by force but by reason. Then the unthinkable happened. Virex stood and said, "The council will now vote, but I recuse myself." Gasps followed. Virex had never once removed himself from a decision, but he did so now, coldly, formally. The voting began. Lights blinked around the chamber. Blue for approval, red for rejection, white for abstention. Alex stood alone in the center, watching silently. One by one, the votes came in. Some old allies voted against Earth, but others, new voices, stood in Earth's defense. When the final vote blinked into place, the result rang across the chamber. Earth to be granted conditional independence. Monitored but not exiled. No sanctions. No exceed. Continued presence in the council, pending future review. The chamber broke into low conversation. Some delegates left in silence. Others stayed to speak with new energy. Alex closed his eyes for a brief second. Then he turned and walked out of the chamber. Outside, Solara Prime sky was dim with approaching night. But to him, it had never looked brighter. Captain Alex Voss walked through the wide corridors of Solara Prime, the final vote echoing in his ears. Conditional independence. Not exile, not control. A fragile compromise, but a victory nonetheless. But peace never came easy. He had barely returned to his quarters when the alerts began. Soft sirens hummed through the walls. Messages poured into his diplomatic console. The symbols flashed fast. Security alert. Internal disruption. High Chancellor's authority contested. Alex's communicator buzzed. Alaris's voice came through, sharp and urgent. Voss, stay in your quarters. Something's happening. Virex is not accepting the vote. Alex froze. What do you mean not accepting it? He's called an emergency override meeting. Claims there were procedural violations. He wants the vote dismissed. Alex's face tightened. He's overturning democracy because he lost. Yes, Alaris replied. And he's not alone. Within the hour, the Grand Hall had changed. The once orderly council chamber was now in chaos. Delegates argued across sectors. Some shouted in anger. Others remained silent in confusion or fear. The star-shaped platform pulsed with warning lights. Virex stood at the center, surrounded by a trio of elite guards in silver armor. His hands were raised, but his voice was firm, not loud. The vote was manipulated. Outside influence was used. The Earth envoy gathered votes in secret. Council law allows for annulment if such claims are proven. Alex arrived at the edge of the chamber. He wasn't alone. Alaris stood beside him, along with several other delegates who had supported Earth. Alex stepped forward without permission. Council law also states no vote may be reversed without full review by the Independent Audit Tribunal. You skipped that step. Virex turned to him. His eyes glowed brighter than before. You do not speak here now. Alex didn't stop. I must speak, because the truth is, you never wanted a vote. You wanted submission. And when you didn't get it, you started tearing apart the council you claimed to protect. Gasps echoed through the chamber. The delegate from the Ralvian sector rose. We have followed Virex for too long, without question. That ends now. Another delegate from the polar moons of Ilker added, the vote stands. And if we let it be undone, none of us are safe. A wave began to rise. One by one, delegates stood, not in protest, but in resistance. Silent but firm. It was clear. They wouldn't let the vote be undone. Virex's eyes narrowed. You are making a mistake. Chaos will return. No, Alex said. We're choosing something harder than control. We're choosing fairness. The guards moved slightly, but stopped when a sharp command came from another side of the room. It was the deputy chair of the council, an aged being with 6 eyes and a calm voice that carried authority. This is no longer about Earth. This is about the council. The chancellor has overstepped. He must be removed peacefully by vote. The room held its breath. A vote was cast, not for Earth, for leadership. Virex stood still, unmoving, even as the votes lit up the chamber. One by one, more and more, until the outcome was clear. He was removed. Without a word, Virex turned and walked out, his guards following. He did not argue. He did not resist. He simply left. The chamber remained quiet. It wasn't a celebration. It was something heavier, a shift in power, in thinking. The council would not be the same again. The deputy chair stood. Let the record show. The vote regarding Earth stands. Conditional independence remains in place. Oversight will be shared by neutral parties. Delegates began to speak again, but the tone had changed. Not fear, not control, something closer to conversation. Alex stood quietly at the edge of the platform. Alaris stepped beside him. "You didn't just save your planet," she said. "You cracked the council's shell." Alex looked around. The galaxy's oldest government, shaken by the actions of a single human and a few voices willing to rise. "Change never comes easy," he said. "But sometimes it starts with a single no." Outside, Solara Prime's sky glowed with evening light. The towers shined. The halls, once filled with cold silence, were now humming with uncertain but honest discussion. Alex Voss walked away from the chamber, not as a defeated man, not even as a hero, but as a symbol of what could happen when someone stood their ground. The transport ship Resolute cut through space on its return journey to Earth. Inside, Captain Alex Voss sat alone by the wide observation window, watching stars streak past in silence. The galaxy had not changed overnight, but something had shifted. Earth was no longer on the edge of exile. It had a place now, however fragile, however uncertain. For the first time in days, Alex allowed himself to breathe deeply. Behind him, the cabin lights dimmed. The soft hum of the ship's systems echoed like a heartbeat. He replayed the final moments of the council vote in his mind. Delegates rising one by one, Virax stripped of power, the sudden shift from threat to uneasy respect. The vote had passed, and the council had moved forward without war or collapse. Earth was still standing. As Resolute descended toward New Geneva, the city glowed beneath the great climate dome. It looked unchanged, yet something about it felt different to Alex. Maybe it was just him. Maybe it was the weight that had finally lifted from his shoulders. The docking platform opened with a slow hiss. A small crowd had gathered to greet him. Representatives from Earth's unified government, members of the press, and a few civilians who had waited just to see the man who had spoken for them among the stars. Leah Monroe stepped forward first. Her expression was hard to read, but her eyes were steady. "Welcome home, Captain." Alex nodded. "Thank you. It's good to be back." She led him inside, away from the cameras. In the briefing room, the lights dimmed, and a screen lit up with live reports from across the galaxy. Former Chancellor Virax relocated to his home system. No resistance. Council establishes new oversight body with rotating leadership. Earth status. Monitored but engaged. First joint trade mission approved. Alex watched in silence. "They're still watching us," Leah said, crossing her arms. "Still waiting to see if we're worth the risk." "They should," Alex replied. "We still have a lot to prove." She turned to face him. "You know, you could have walked away from all of this. No one would have blamed you." "I couldn't," he said simply. "This planet may be small to them, but it's everything to us." There was a pause. "And now?" she asked. "What comes next?" Alex looked toward the window, where the dome's ceiling shimmered with artificial stars. "Now we start living like we deserve the second chance we got." In the following days, small but meaningful changes spread across Earth. The first interplanetary message came from the Zarelian sector, offering shared research on agriculture that could help restore Earth's ruined farmlands. The Ralvian Trade Office sent an invitation to Earth scientists to attend a conference in neutral space. Even the Ilkarans, once distant, agreed to open low-level technology exchanges. The people of Earth were still wary. Many didn't trust the Council, and some questioned the cost of joining a system that had almost erased them. But something had changed. Hope had returned. In schools, students studied galactic law alongside history. In ports, engineers redesigned ships to meet new Alliance standards. Artists painted murals of stars beyond the dome. And for the first time in decades, young people dreamed of joining the stars, not fleeing from them. On a quiet night, Alex returned to the edge of New Geneva's Central Park, the same place he had stood when the warning first came. The fountain still flowed, a symbol of Earth's survival. Children played beneath the dome's soft glow. Families walked without fear. He watched them for a long time. A small boy walked up to him, curious. "Are you the man who talked to the aliens?" Alex smiled. "I talked to them, yes." "Did they listen?" Alex looked toward the sky again. "Some did," he said. "And sometimes that's enough to change everything." The boy nodded, as if that made perfect sense. Then he ran off to join his friends. Alex stood quietly for a moment longer. Then he turned and walked away, just a man who had done his duty. Behind him, the artificial sky sparkled like the real thing. Above, beyond the dome, the galaxy waited. And this time, Earth would meet it not with fear, but with purpose.